Well, markets are mixed, but the Dow could hit a new record high if it stays about 16 points to the positive, and it's well above that right now, but it was negative earlier, signaling if it does hit a new high, it signals a resilience to the supply chain and inflation problems we've been talking about. So how long is it all going to last? Kaltbaum Capital Management President Gary Kaltbaum and Market Gauge Group Managing Director Michelle Schneider are here with details. Good to see you both. Gary, are you kind of surprised that markets are not more jittery about all these Biden policies that seem to be falling apart?
Actually not. You still have a Fed that's printing, between the Fed and European central banks, $250 billion. I'm not surprised also because the COVID numbers are coming down and we're opening up. And you can just see it if you turn on your TV and watch some sports and see 70,000 people in a stadium. That's something we didn't have months ago. I think that's what's fueling this. And I love the fact that the rails and truckers are acting better. I love that American Express is breaking out to all-time highs today. You got some good things going on, but I still believe we're in the late innings of this bull market, and sometime early next year, look out, but we are not there yet, and I think higher prices to come, notwithstanding what you're seeing in like online advertising companies today that are just getting squashed because of what you heard from Snap.
Yeah. Michelle, any sign at all that the supply chain issue problem may be resolving itself somehow?
I don't really see that. We're still seeing a tremendous amount of cargo ships not able to come in, things that are being unloaded. There aren't truckers to deliver them. And also you have a psychological impact here from shoppers in a hoarding mentality, which is what often happens in an inflationary environment that only leads to further inflation. And so the shelves are empty, even though there are supposedly supplies out there. They're just not getting to the shelves, and people don't want to fall short. So to jump on what Gary said, I mean, he's absolutely right. You've got to take all of whatever seems to be commonsensical and just look what's happening in the market. And some of these relationships, particularly with transportation, are showing that the market at this point doesn't really care, and there's still a lot of optimism about growth.
But Gary, there are problems not just here with our supply chain issues. Of course, it's happening in Asia. A lot of people who moved their operations from China to Vietnam are now having problems with Vietnam. You have problems in Europe with shortages leading to gas lines. I mean, so it is a worldwide phenomenon.
And may I state for the record, there will be heck to pay the longer this lasts. As prices go up, people can afford less, so they're buying less. As prices go up, the cost to produce it goes up, which means profits come down for companies, which means stock prices come down. If we lose stock prices, we lose a bunch of the wealth effect. So definitively, if this continues, it is all bad news ultimately. But right now, I'm a big believer in reading the tape. That's what's the most important thing when you manage money. Yeah. So far, so good. But fundamentally, man, oh man, we got some things that better be ironed out or else.
Michelle, just drilling down, what about the chip shortage? That's causing a lot of problems, not only with computers and stuff, but with cars, et cetera.
That just further exacerbates the situation. And just to put some context on basically everything Gary just said, which I completely agree with, is that we have a very key relationship here that has just flipped. And that is, believe it or not, the performance of silver to gold. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, when silver started to outperform gold, that's when really inflation got out of control. And all of the basis of inflation had already been developed for years before. So we're sort of in this repeat situation here. Even though the factors may be slightly different, the actual thrust of what's happening in these relationships is exactly the same. Oil is spiking, gas is spiking, we have food commodities spiking, and now with silver outperforming, we could be heading into a super cycle of commodities that will really wreak havoc on the market.
To quote Gary Kaltbaum, we got to leave it at that, but oi is all I can say. And by the way, we still have the Fed buying up 60% of all the debt that's issued by the Treasury. That's an enormous amount, and that's one reason why we're seeing a lot of inflation. Gang, we're going to see you coming up. Appreciate it. And also coming up, a new Fox News poll showing just how